The Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall saga may officially be over.
He's walking away so that he doesn't have to fight Tom Aspinall.
Aspinall claims he's retired. Helwani says his legacy is destroyed, and even Dana White seems fed up with the situation.
Jon's been Jon since he walked in the door here. Really, shit doesn't go the way you would like it to go all the time.
Everyone thought Jon was just holding out for as much cash as possible, and of course, the fight would happen. But recently, the situation has changed, and not for the better. The UFC reportedly agreed to Jones's outrageous demands, but apparently Jon Jones has decided he doesn't want to fight Tom anyway. So this is the story of how the UFC's most anticipated fight might not actually happen after all. In recent weeks, the Twitter war between the two heavyweights reached a tipping point, although it was almost exclusively from Jones' side. It all started with Jon mocking Aspinall for his losses earlier in his career, and then, in a tirade of tweets, he essentially said Aspinall isn't on his level, doesn't deserve to fight him, and that his legacy is intact no matter what. For someone who claims he's rent-free in Tom's head, he sure does spend a lot of his time tweeting about him. In most people's eyes, it just screams insecurity on Jon's side.
Jon thinks he's cooking with all of these right here. He thinks he's having like the greatest run on Twitter. What's really happening is he's cooking his own legacy right now. He's making a mockery of his legacy. Show me a great champion. Show me a great from Jordan to Tom Brady to Ali to Lemieux to Gretzky. Show me someone who acted like this.
But in one of his many tweets, Jon also pointed out that he hasn't seriously trained since the Stipe Miocic fight. Given he's been in Thailand filming a reality TV show, it just proves he has zero intention of fighting anytime soon. But what really bugged was that Jon said he'd much rather fight Francis Ngannou instead, as it'd be a clash of champions, which is simply hilarious on numerous fronts. Firstly, he actively avoided fighting Francis Ngannou a few years ago, much like he is now to Aspinall.
If I'm Jon Jones and I'm home watching this fight, I start moving to 85.
You think that's a fight that you'd like to put together next? I mean, I know we don't matchmake, but that sure does seem exciting.
Listen, I could sit here all day and tell you, what show me the money mean? I tell you guys this all the time. If you can say you want to fight somebody, but do you really want to?
And despite Ngannou seemingly lobbying for that fight for numerous months, it didn't come close to happening. Then, literally 2 months after Ngannou left the UFC for free agency, Jon was all of a sudden ready to fight up at heavyweight and took on Cyril Gane instead. And dismissing Aspinall as a legit opponent because he's never been an undisputed UFC champion is also wild. The only reason Aspinall can't become the clear champion is because Jon is holding the division hostage and stopping Tom from making the next step in his career.
The way I look at it, I'm the best heavyweight in the world. I'm not getting my credit for it. They're holding the belt hostage, mate, and Jon Jones is loving it. He's loving the fact that Dana White's getting on every interview possible. Friggin' hell, you talk about something, you're talking about bantamweights, and Dana White flips it back and starts talking about how good Jon Jones is. I'm like, mate, if he's that good, let's fight.
But before we dive further into Jon Jones' drama, we just want to shine a little light on our second channel called Late Night Fights. Over there, we do deep dives into all the losses of the UFC's biggest names. You can check out the link in the description below. The back and forth with Jon and Aspinall has gone on so long now that fans have hit a point where they're a bit bored, fed up, and a little over the situation. So much so that they want Jon gone from the sport.
I'm done with that too. I'm just done. I get it. I don't know how Jones still holds the title, honestly. Like, I know I mentioned when we first started speaking about this many moons ago, how I was like, no one's stripping Jones. You can't do that to him. But mate, come on, you're taking the piss now. You're taking the piss now.
And you have to remember, a lot of newer UFC fans would have never even seen Jon Jones at his peak. In their eyes, he's just an old great who didn't want to fight Francis, doesn't want to fight Tom, and would rather hold the division hostage while going on Twitter rants. So in response, they started a petition to make the UFC strip Jones of the heavyweight title. It's at around 200,000 signatures, and news of it even reached Dana White, who of course defended Jon Jones like always.
Jones, did you see the petition online from the fans?
Yeah.
What did you just make of that?
Every human on earth was DMing it to me, and yeah, I saw it.
I mean, I know you say you always listen to the fans and give the fans what they want. I'm just curious what you make of that.
How many fans are there worldwide now? Like, what's the number? It's like 400 million or something like that. Yeah, 130,000 people want to see him stripped.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not enough.
I don't know where Dana got that 400 million number from. That would mean 1 in 20 people in the entire world are UFC fans. The man has said some outrageous statements over the years, but that might be right up there. Bear in mind, UFC 316 was rumored to do around 350,000 pay-per-view buys, yet there's 400 million fans of this sport. But speaking of UFC 316, it was the first time we saw Dana White crack just a bit when the Jon Jones situation was brought up.
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Fucking crazy.
But if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall and he does walk away, do you think he's ducked him? Would you?
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So it's none of my business. I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can. If he's talking that crazy shit, I didn't realize that.
That's probably because in the days leading up to UFC 316, a lot was rumored to change behind the scenes about the potential fight. And surprise, surprise, it sounds like it's entirely Jon Jones's fault. Now, we all know that Jon needed a huge bag of cash to even consider accepting the fight. No one has a problem with that. It would all but certainly be his final fight, a huge risk for him, and sell a serious amount of pay-per-views. Jon tried the same back in 2022 with Ngannou, but this time the UFC agreed.
It was time to have one more fight that the world wanted to see, maybe even two if you want to bring up Francis back in 2020. He chose not to take the fight. But unlike 2020, when he asked for FU money and the UFC said no, this time they actually got it for him. They called his bluff, if you want to call it that. And then he said, I'm good.
Even Dana himself outright stated that Jones agreed to the fight.
Yeah, I've been saying it since the beginning, and Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. So Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
But for whatever reason, the rumor is that Jones was offered the money he wanted, yet changed his mind when the final step was to sign a contract.
That we heard a while back, 30 million is what Jon wanted. Jon said, I'm not fighting him unless I get 30 million. When Dana says Jon accepted the fight, well, he must have got pretty close, if not that number. But if he accepted the fight and then the fight's not happening, what, did he pull out of the fight? Did he then not do the deal? Those are questions that I have.
While that's just a rumor, Tom Aspinall has now had his say, and UFC fans, it's not looking good.
You know what I'm gonna ask you first? Jon Jones.
Oh yeah. That old one, living his best life, mate, in Thailand. So everybody reaches a sell-by date, don't they? Everybody's got a time limit. He's reached it, and we move on.
I reckon anyone else in that position would have been stripped. I was talking to Adam Cattle about it the other week.
Yeah, seen it.
You should be stripped now.
It obviously was a bit annoying at the time, but it's all in the past now. We're moving forward. Everything's good. We can get fighting again.
Aspinall isn't the type of fighter to play games for the media. Sure, he may be trying one final poke at Jon Jones's ego to get him to accept the fight, but he's claimed he's going to be fighting soon. The drama is all over, and while he's frustrated to not fight Jones, he's happy to move on with his career. So if he's saying all this, I think most MMA fans will take it at face value. We know Jones isn't training and has been off in Thailand, so if Aspinall is going to fight soon, it definitely isn't against Jon. Thankfully, Aspinall may not end up being Michael Chandler, who wasted numerous years holding out for the big fight. Instead, he'll be back building his legacy, getting more wins under your belt, and earning more cash while he can, which, thankfully, it sounds like Aspinall is going to do.
I do know what's going on a little bit, and I am going to fight soon, so that's nice, but for like the last kind of 6 months, I've just not known what's going on. Do you know what the worst bit is like, you know this yourself, it's like money, fame, titles, rankings, all that aside, I just love fighting. I just like fighting people. That's what I got into it for. I didn't get into it for anything else. I want to be the best fighter I can be. I love it. I'm in the gym every day. I just want to fight. That's been taken away from me for like nearly a year now.
But speaking of legacy, just how much has this saga hurt Jon Jones? Legacy is incredibly important to Jon Jones. He's always talking about it.
I want my legacy to be that Jon Jones came, saw, and he conquered. You know, in his personal life, he came, saw, and conquered. In the octagon, he came, saw, and conquered. A person who has been here for a very long time, who pretty much grew up in the public eye. And, you know, I just want to be a person who's looked at as very resilient.
But no matter how much he discredits Aspinall as a serious opponent, the fans know he has a serious chance of beating Jon. So his legacy has taken a huge hit in recent months. Even the Jon Jones fanboys aren't able to defend him. He could have just retired after the Stipe fight, said thanks UFC, I'm getting old, it's time for me to go. Sure, fans would have been disappointed. But we've seen Topuria, GSP, Makhachev, and so many more vacate the belt, and eventually everyone gets over it. It's the clinging onto the title, the Twitter rants, and pretending like he doesn't care which has annoyed the MMA community so much. And after all this talk, it feels like the fight has to go down.
The fact he's not stepping up and fighting yet, he's let the whole MMA fan base down.
I couldn't have somebody else saying that they're going to beat me and not at least fight them. And then if I lose, at least I tried my best.
And it's even more than that case when you're the reigning heavyweight champion of the world and you've got someone holding.
It is crazy.
Heavyweight
It is a
championship
crazy
of the world.
situation, but there's a lot of politics in there in the UFC at the top levels, and it's just like out of my hands, so there's nothing I can really do about it.
The UFC, of course, wants the fight to happen, and they're very happy to keep Jon as the champion while they're negotiating a new TV deal. You can bet your bottom dollar they're telling Netflix, ESPN, and whoever else that they have Jon Jones under contract and a monumental pay-per-view on the horizon. But it's looking less and less likely to happen, and for Jones, it's just yet another asterisk next to his name when you talk about him as the GOAT.
This is forever why GSP will be my GOAT. And part of when I say GOAT, I say the guy who represented the company, a guy who represented the sport, and did the jobs in the cage. GSP had 2 opportunities to hold up a weight class. 2 opportunities, and he did the right thing.
Without going into them too much, the entirety of UFC 151 was cancelled because Jon Jones refused to fight the then middleweight Chael Sonnen, who'd have to fight on just 8 days' notice. He's failed numerous drug tests, ruined the main event of UFC 200, and has been stripped more than any UFC fighter. Not to mention his many run-ins with the law, refusing to fight Ngannou, and now refusing to fight Aspinall.
This fight doesn't interest me. He got submitted by Cousin Earl back in God knows when. He's got a thin upper lip. Fuck out of here. This nonsense. How anyone is defending any of this is beyond me.
You can never take away what Jon Jones did at 205. The youngest UFC champion in history, defeated so many greats, and became a 2-division champion. But that's the story of Jon Jones. A great inside the octagon, but the most protected fighter outside of it. And if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall, it'll always haunt his legacy. Thanks for watching. This video was a super quick turnaround for us, so if you enjoyed it, please go and subscribe. That way we know to do more current news just like this one. Oh, and most of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. We release new videos every single week, so hit subscribe to stay up to date.